Hi, my name is Joseph Rittenhouse. I'm a financial educator, lifestyle idea guy. Recently here in America, I'm an American, we had the situation where the government shut down. So there's some people who work for the federal government and they are temporarily out of work. They're furloughed until the government begins to operate normally again, and they'll probably get their jobs back and probably get back pay. But I thought this was a good moment to use to learn a lesson. There's a couple of numbers that I calculate every month when I do my financial report. I look at where I've come from, I look at where I'm at with my money, I also make a plan. One of the numbers that I calculate that is very important, even more now more so than before when I was working, is a number I call my burn rate. It's just basically how long would it take for me to burn through all of the cash that I have that's available to me right now. If you're a working person, it's a little bit of a different game. You've got money constantly coming in and you've got money constantly going out. So it's more a game of keeping one higher than the other, and you're okay, you're staying afloat. I retired when I was 36 years old because I had enough rental property that I wouldn't need to work anymore. That's the money that I live off of now. And now my game is a little bit different because I have some property that's constantly putting money into my pocket, but I also have other property that fluctuates a lot, where I get a large amount of money, maybe $100,000. And I need to look at this money and I need to try to get as much of it out of my pocket, out of my bank account, and back into property so I continue to grow. But when I get a large amount of money from the sale of a property, I need to decide how much of this money, if I want to keep it as low as possible, how much of this cash can I live on until the next cycle of selling a piece of property comes through or a refinance happens. So it's constantly a game of a lot of money comes in, get as much money out of here, get it back into new property to grow it. And the game is, how low can I get my cash savings to live off of it? It's kind of similar situation to what's happening now. Let's say you lose your job completely. Let's go through a couple of examples of someone who has no job like me. Well, I have money from my real estate, but you need to be calculating what would happen if you were to lose all of your income today. I have property that pays me, but you don't have that. You just have your job. So let's say you lose your job today, and we need to calculate what your burn rate is. Today, you have $10,000 of cash in the bank. You owe $20,000 in credit card bills or lines of credit or something like that. And each month with this debt that you owe $250 to the bank. So this is not the number that's going to kill you, it's going to be this number. And whenever I look at something like buying a house or a car or buying new clothes, it's this number that is the one that's going to kill you. It's going to sneak up on you. You don't want to get killed by the monthly payments. Yeah, there's some things you could do where maybe you move this around and you get rid of this monthly payment by using balance transfer. That's okay. That's another thing that you could do. But I'm looking at this number, $250 a month that I owed in debt. Just for example, where I live, let's say I pay $1,000 to rent the place that I stay at. So each month I'm burning $1,250 per month. Right now, cash in the bank, $10,000. I would last 8 months before I completely ran out of money. Now this is just a simple example. There's obviously things you could do. You could, like I said, you could play around with this number, maybe transfer this to a interest-free card. Maybe there's an introductory offer like 14 months, no interest, so you could get this money, put it somewhere and eliminate that payment. You could also play around with your living expenses. Say you lost your job today, you could do something where you get that lower. That's what I do all the time. I'm always playing around with my living expenses. I go to other countries. I even sleep in my car. The list goes on. So you could play with this number. You can also play with this number to adjust this number. And when it comes to living expenses, I say, I got 8 months, but this is not including things like food. So you got to think there's a range of living expense costs. So there's a lower, I like to call it light living expenses. There's also heavy living expenses. So if I was in a situation where today I lost my job and I start burning through this cash, I could maybe live a little light and chill on the coffees, chill on the eating out and stuff like that. Maybe hold off on some of the car repairs, or hold off on on getting a new wardrobe and things like that. Or maybe you know you're going to be getting a large amount of money in a couple of months, so you can live a little bit more heavy, like I like to call it, where you know a large amount of money is coming in 3 months for me, so you know I can just, yeah, I'm burning through my money, but I can keep my living expenses high. So it's just something to consider. You can calculate this number, your burn rate, how long are you going to survive. There's also another number that I calculate, that's if I were to take my whole net worth. My net worth right now is $240,000. When I was traveling through Europe and Asia, I was spending about $1,600 per month. So let's see, if I were to sell everything, I said I'm tired of real estate. I don't want to do any more work anymore ever again. I just want to sit under a tree and read. And I sold all my property and I got all of my equity back. $240,000 divided by about $20,000 a year is what it cost me to travel through Europe and Asia. I would be able to survive for 12 years on that. Now I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell all of my property, but it's just some numbers that you want to keep in mind. Keep in mind, worst case scenario, what's going to happen if I were to lose my job today? And what would happen to me today if I were to sell everything and just head off into the sunset? How long would I last? 12 years. Think about that. You know, say you really wanted to have a life-changing event. You know, I don't want to do teaching anymore. I don't do financial education anymore. I don't want to do anything I was doing before. I want to go in a whole new direction. And I sold everything. I would have 12 years that I could take to decide what I want to do with my life. Or if you lost your job, you would have 8 months to find a new job, find a different job. It's just all about calculating and managing your money. When you start to calculate everything and see how long you have, now you start to have options. You could, if you're fine, if you got a plan, you could just burn through your money, that's fine, 8 months. Or you could say, well, I have a couple of job options. I could get a job at a cafe, like maybe tomorrow, or you can immediately start to put things into action so that you don't end up where you're in a situation where you have 1 month to survive. And this especially becomes more important when you start to have kids and you start to have dependents and stuff like that. You know, I have, say for example, this is me and I have 8 months to survive. Later when I start to have kids and dependents and stuff like that, and you got to bump that number up, and I'm going to have more expenses and stuff like that. So this is why financial education is so important. You need to calculate these numbers, you need to measure these numbers, you need to come up with plans, safety plans, backup plans. I could find multiple different kinds of work. I could ask friends or family to support me until I get my back pay, maybe when I get rehired. When the furlough is over and I go back to work, maybe I'll get back pay and I can pay people back. That's other options too. It's all about options. Options helps me sleep better at night. That's why when I'm traveling around the world, I sleep good, because I know I have many months to take action if anything were to happen. So get out there and write down your plan. I know no one's going to do it. No one's going to calculate this number, but don't say I didn't warn you. You sleep a lot better when you know how long you have to last until you run out of money. And watch my other videos for more about financial freedom, financial literacy, and little things like doing these little plans. I'm going to do another video where I actually do my entire summary of where I'm at with my money and what I'm planning on doing over the next 2 years. That'll come in a future video. Goodbye, and I'll see you in another video.